Well, Singapore needs to pursue a twin strategy of staying open and developing local talent to continue thriving in an increasingly uncertain world. Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says Singapore must also continue to refresh and update its economic strategies and make the most of its people and human capital. Brendan Tarnoto tells us more.
A little red dot with no natural resources and no hinterland. Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says this makes it not just essential for Singapore to stay open and connected, it's also the only way for it to thrive. And yet, anti-foreigner sentiment has been surfacing in some quarters in recent years.
Contrary, if our policies become overly restrictive, global companies based here will simply find other places to operate in, places with larger markets or larger pools of expertise. Then we will lose all the jobs that we've brought here, that the companies bring here, and these include many good jobs being done by Singaporeans.
He also warns that the hard work Singaporeans have put in to build the country as a regional hub would go to waste.
Our economy will contract, incomes will decline and go into a tailspin, and we will end up with far worse problems, and ultimately it's Singaporeans who will pay the price.
He explains that this is why Singapore has been very deliberate in bringing in new investments, making sure that they help to strengthen the country's capabilities and its people. Now, Mr. Wong says he hopes Singaporeans will better understand the importance of staying open through the Forward Singapore conversations and reject any attempt to move the country away from what he calls a very basic and fundamental orientation. Mr. Wong also assured that investing in the skills and capabilities of Singaporeans has been and will continue to be a key priority for the government. And this will require a fundamental upgrading of the nation's training ecosystem.
Some firms here already have exemplary training leave policies, especially the global companies who understand well the value of human capital. But we should see if this can be broadened across the entire economy while taking consideration of the needs of businesses.
He also noted a need for painstaking efforts to redesign jobs and establish better career progression for workers in the local services sector, where productivity is generally lower than the export-oriented industries.
One economist says providing more skills future funding will allow employees to choose courses that are optimal for their career rather than those that are more affordable. He says employers will also need to be incentivized to encourage their staff to go for longer and more in-depth courses.
So, for example, if the employer sends X amount of employees, then the government will say, okay, we will actually give you a tax write-off because you're doing this. And that always gets employers motivated. Another way could be that, okay, you don't have to pay salaries while the employee is actually taking these courses, or you can give them subsidized salaries, some reduced salary.
But most agree that giving employees time off to complete longer training courses will be difficult given the ongoing manpower shortage. One human resources analyst suggests remodeling skills future courses to bite-sized programs that can be conducted online.
Study has shown, after 24 hours, you basically forget 75% of whatever you learn. Instead of you going one shot front load and learn for 12 hours straight over 2 days, how about every day you spend 15 minutes? 15 minutes learning or 10 minutes learning, 5 minutes assessment. So that is very much possible.
But at the end of the day, instead of just relying on courses to upskill the workforce, Professor Sumit says more should be done to encourage locals to take up higher education.
If you look at lots of the people who are being hired at universities or at companies that are doing R&D work, a lot of them are foreigners, okay? And this is where I think the Singapore government can give incentives for Singaporeans to come and spend time and get a PhD and be part of this. That way, they're actually innovating.